So a near million-acre fire has been burning through Nebraska, if you didn't know, literally the size of fucking Rhode Island, and I've been noticing zero media coverage on it. Every camera, every reporter, every headline is pointed at the Middle East. Fire is approaching 1 million acres, one of the largest in U.S. history, and I just want you to think about this when considering this fire being in Nebraska, okay? Before we get to that, I just want you to think about this. Massive wildfires in Nebraska are threatening to slow efforts to rebuild the U.S. cattle herd as key grazing land of one of the nation's top beef-producing states has been destroyed. Fires fueled by high winds have burned roughly 775,000 acres of pasture, removing a critical feed source for tens of thousands of cattle, according to state officials. Loss of grassland is expected to delay herd expansion plans, even as producers have been encouraged by historically strong cattle prices. You see where I'm going here? Now think about this. Nebraska just so happens to sit on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, which just so happens to be the largest underground water source in America. Ogallala supplies 30% of all irrigation water used in U.S. agriculture. Think about this. While oil prices go up, fertilizer costs skyrocket. If shipping is interrupted, then grain exports also stall. This is happening during the biggest geopolitical crisis in 50 years. And you really think it's a coincidence? So a near
Hey, we in that time where the Lord is visiting the earth. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kadash, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace and blessed salutations to the hopefully elect. So this would be a quick lesson, as you saw right here in this opening clip, while everybody's looking at Iran and what's going on overseas, which you should be looking at that because it does correlate to biblical prophecy. Really everything happening in the earth today is prophetic. But people are so focused on what's going on overseas that right here in America, Babylon the Great, these people don't even realize that their own government is setting them up to be slaughtered. All right. You have how many hundreds of thousands of acres out there in Nebraska. Not only Nebraska, other states as well. All right. Texas, you know what I'm saying? But, this just happens to be the largest one right now. And Nebraska produces a lot of cattle, a lot of corn, soybeans, things like that. All right. That are very important for consumers in America and also for agriculture. And all this is being burnt down. And as you heard as well, there's a very large aquifer underneath this land here, all right, that's responsible for 30% of irrigation for crops in America. And these fires are going on, so that water is going to dry up. Combined with shipping problems, shipping delays and, higher costs, fertilizer, everything. This is a perfect storm for famine, okay, which this is what the Lord is about to bring on this earth, man. All right, famine. And the articles we'll get into today is going to show you that we are indeed in that time to where famine is about to become very prominent, okay, as well as Revelation, the 6th chapter, where it speaks about, basically having to give a day's wages for a very small amount of food, because not only is the price going to be super high, but the availability of the food is going to become very scarce, all right, because these devils are creating an artificial famine, all right? They're burning up the crops, paying farmers to sell their land, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that is not being reported. But, all right, let's jump to these articles, all right? This article here from Politico. USDA cancels $300 million program to help farmers buy land amid anti-DEI push. All right. Now, we ain't really got to get into this article. The title speaks for itself. But showing you what time we in. All right. That the government, they don't give a damn about the farmer. And by default, they don't give a damn about the average American Babylonian. Okay, this administration, man, they came in swinging and called Lord Yahweh Shai, because this is indeed the cruel Lord spoken of in Isaiah the 19th chapter, that would have a very harsh rule over Babylon, Egypt. And this is what we seeing. So they got all this money, spending tens of billions of dollars a day, all right, to keep this war effort going, which they losing, by the way. But when it come to paying TSA, when it come to keeping the farmers up, when it come to giving people benefits because they need help, they ain't got the money for that. All right, so hey, if these Babylonians can't see that your government has betrayed you, I don't know what to tell you. All right, but the proof is in the pudding, man. You know what I'm saying? Texas produces almost half of America's cotton, and the U.S. is the world's third largest supplier behind India and China. Okay? So they cut millions of dollars from this program, man, that, it's going to help farmers. This is why now the farmers, they out here mourning. Check this out. Eastern Carolina farmers struggle amid high fuel costs, and it's only going to get worse.
Some Eastern Carolina farmers are struggling as fuel costs continue to rise.
Chris Cook is live after talking to several farmers about how they're dealing with it. Chris?
Dave, Courtney, multiple farmers told me they've never seen such sudden fuel price hikes, and it's just adding to the challenges they're already facing. Getting a tractor like this to do its job takes a lot of diesel fuel, and some Eastern Carolina farmers say the cost of it is getting concerning. Jimmy Fulcher is a farmer in Craven County. He said sudden price hikes on fuel can spell doom for farmers.
Well, we don't have any way to pass those additional costs on. And we're already looking at very small profits per acre on crops.
Fulcher said the cost of diesel is the highest he's ever seen. Darren Armstrong is a Republican state House nominee and is a farmer himself. He echoed Fulcher's worries.
I've never seen prices jump to levels like they are now as fast as they've jumped. So it was almost impossible to prepare for it.
Armstrong said farmers have been struggling with inputs for several years. He said this year, when some farmers feel like they may have a lot of it figured out, they're not ready for an unexpected event like this. He said that causes them to change course and buy small amounts over time, hoping the average over a year period is more manageable.
The inflation rate has far surpassed what our income is.
And high fuel costs also impact fertilizer costs. Both farmers said fuel touches fertilizer in several different ways, so when fuel goes up, fertilizer naturally follows it. Fulcher said farming is a faith-based business, and he's hopeful for brighter days ahead.
We just feel like things will get better, And maybe that's an optimistic way to look at it, but we don't feel like we have any choice but that.
And Fulcher added that with pretty much everything his farm needs, a truck is involved. That means higher fuel costs impact everything they buy, including commodities and even freight on parts. Live in Beaufort County, Chris Cook, WYTN News.
All right, thank you, Chris. Now,
see, brighter days ain't coming. All right, the bright days for America are far behind it. Okay, what we in now is, as our Lord Yahushua told us of in the last days, that would come the beginning of sorrows. All right, same thing is echoed in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. All right, the beginning of sorrows, beginning of wars, famine, all these things we seeing, and it's only going to get worse. All right, as the prophets have been telling you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. We can roll through a few more. Right, fertilizer prices bring more pain for American farmers amid war in Iran. The war in Iran is pushing up prices for already strained farmers, with higher costs for fertilizer and energy on top of last year's tariffs. And the increasing pressure on American agriculture could lead to even bigger price tags at the grocery store. Okay, and like I mentioned before, let's pull that real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because inflation is already high, but hyperinflation gonna come real soon. Because also simultaneously, the earth is de-dollarizing. You know what I'm saying? They selling, bonds and stocks off from America. So those dollars are going to come back home. And that's going to cause hyperinflation because there's no demand for it no more. This is the third seal, famine. Revelation 6 and 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. A measure of wheat for a penny goes into a day's wages, and a measure would be a very small amount of food, all right, for comparatively what you would get for that day's wage, all right? So this is speaking here of hyperinflation and famine, all right, which we see these things are deliberately being done. And who is the Lord using to do it? His left hand, his sword, all right, which is Esau, Edom, okay? When you read Psalm 17 chapter, it tell you that the wicked is the sword of the Most High. So, you know, although these things are prophesied, the Lord uses his instrument of wickedness, his instrument of judgment, which is Esau, to bring these things about on the earth. All right. Revelation 12 and 12 also goes along with that. You know what I'm saying? The devil shall come unto you having great wrath, for he know he has but a short time. See, Esau know his time short. So this is why he's deliberately doing these things, to accelerate the collapse of this world and, you know, try to bring in his attempt at the new Tower of Babel, which we know as today the NWO, all right? That's what all these things are leading to. Trump delivers farmers another financial blow with Iran war. It says here, they're choking us. We are getting choked out here, he said. This is not going to end well. O'Brien has been growing corn and soybeans for 50 years in northern Illinois. He has voted for Republicans and Democrats in the past, but he's frustrated with the Republican Party in the Trump era. And a lot of these farmers will tell you the same thing, that they frustrated. You know what I'm saying? They tired of Trump. This ain't what they voted for. And, you know, the hope of Babylon is failing. It says here, you and I go to the gas station and we're shocked when we got to spend $36 to fill our darn tank up, he said. Adding that farmers will be spending thousands on diesel. 500 gallons times $4 or $5. There you go right there. It's just crazy. Yeah, so, you know, these farmers are about to go out of business. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them already are. A lot of them are selling their land, selling their farms, going bankrupt because they can't afford to keep up with the rising, you know, cost of operation. And see, this is going to be big, all right, come this fall. Right when they do the harvest, man, because this is really the time right now, March, April, where they buy fertilizer, you know what I'm saying, to, you know, plant their crops or whatever, and they harvest come the fall time. You know what I'm saying? Well, if they can't get fertilizer and the cost to transport and, you know, buy seeds and everything like that, you know, goes up exponentially as it is, it's not really going to be no harvest come this fall, man. So what's going to happen next year? Okay? Hey, man, these people about to find out, right? Okay? They want you to pay for this one. But for Australia's farmers, fuel crisis comes at worst possible time. So everywhere around the earth, okay, farmers, they're mourning. Farmers catching hell. Hawaii farmers confront 11 million in flood damage without a safety net. Okay, so out there in Hawaii, you know, floods, you know, just all kind of wild weather is destroying the crops, you know what I'm saying? And the government, you know what I'm saying, because Hawaii is a U.S. state, as we just, you know, went into that first article, that they're cutting 300 million subsidies to farmers, okay? So the farmers out there in Hawaii, they not getting no help either. So they on their own. You know what I'm saying? EU-Australia trade deals draw ire of farmers and lawmakers. All right, out there in Australia, in the EU, you got them farmers protesting. You know what I'm saying? You see them tractors set up right there. The new EU-Australia trade deal has drawn criticism from farmers and MEPs who argue that it will open the door to additional imports of sensitive products on top of those already agreed under the contentious Mercosur deal, while not providing full protection for certain EU regional products. All right. So it ain't nothing but hell for these farmers, man. But guess what? This is going to come down to you. All right. This right here is going to affect everybody. This is why in this time your faith got to be built up, because we come into a time where you're not going to see no food. You know what I'm saying? This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6. In verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The farms, the markets, the fast food spots, restaurants, all that's about to appear unsown. Okay, gas stations, everything about to dry up, man. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. You see that? All right, now when you go to 2nd Ezra's 15th chapter, all right, check this out. 2nd Ezra 15 and 13. They that till the ground shall mourn, the farmers, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting in hell, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Right? So the scriptures say, woe to the world, man, that the farmers shall mourn through this, mourn for their seeds. Their seeds gonna fail through the blasting in hell, like we just went into. All right, the floods out there in Hawaii. Okay, you got the fires raging in Nebraska. Farmers are mourning, man, with a fearful constellation. All right, we at the end, man. That's that's really the point. You know what I'm saying? But we already know what to expect, and this is why the elect, the remnant, in this time, are seeking Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, because this world has no answers. You know what I'm saying? Christianity has no answers for you, man. Nothing else outside this truth is going to give you any comfort when it's all said and done. Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so we in the beginning of sorrows right now. We seeing the famine, we seeing the pestilence. Right, they getting ready to do lockdowns again, energy lockdowns. They about to bring about a new sickness. Okay, earthquakes all over the place. We see that the wars are going on, more wars to come. You know what I'm saying? So look, man, if you ain't built up in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you ain't gonna make it, because a lot of people, their mental health is already failing them. Right? You know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand why these things are happening, and they have no expectation of any hope after it. You know what I'm saying? But hey, through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, the hopefully elected Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, we know that this is the end of this wicked world and the beginning of ours. Okay, so we got something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? For us, there's light at the end of the tunnel. For these people in this world, for these heathen, for these 2/3 Jakes, it's over, man. It's over. And if they haven't realized it yet, then they're going to realize it soon. So I'm going to go ahead and close out right there. Just want to make this a quick, edifying lesson, Lord willing. This lesson was edifying through the Rakah Kadash, called Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect.